All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Adrienne Penner, and I'm taking over for Amanda for the next year, covering her mat leave. And I was here 6 months ago covering her second mat leave, or earlier mat leave, I should say. So I might recognize some of you. But anyways, good to be here. So today we're going to talk about body worries, and I'm kind of going out on a limb. It's not usually something that we talk about, but in my other job there, I do a lot of one-on-one nutrition counseling there, individual counseling, and the number of referrals for disordered eating and just relationship with food have skyrocketed. And so I personally have been learning a lot about this over the last number of years. I think since having two girls myself and them growing up has prompted me to really look at my own relationship with my food or my body and food. But also, yeah, just to be able to provide the best service that I can to clients and that too. So anyway, I thought I would just share a little bit about who I am for those of you that don't know me. So I grew up in Toronto area, did my schooling out there to become a dietitian. It's a 5-year undergrad, and got married to a Morden boy and moved out here after I finished school. We've moved around Canada a little bit there, Kenora and Calgary, and then we moved back to Steinbach, or Manitoba, I should say, 3 years ago. So we have, yeah, two girls, and hold on, there we go. We've got Natalie, who's 4, and Avery, who's 7. And yeah, again, I think this is the reason why working on our relationship with food and body is key. I think many of you have probably heard in the news the rates of eating disorders have skyrocketed among this COVID pandemic. And the National Eating Disorder Information Center, so NEDIC for short, they have an anonymous helpline, and they've seen a 43% overall increase in calls, and more than double the number of calls from those aged 11 to 19. So that was a stat from January this year, 2021. So yeah, I think the information that we'll talk about today, I hope is relevant. I know a lot of times in pregnancy too, any underlying issues can certainly be magnified. There's lots of change happening as you're pregnant, both physically and mentally. And yeah, this slide deck here, well, my presentation, I should say, will address all of those aspects. So yeah. Many of us have grown up in diet culture and may not even be aware of it. You look at the superstore when you're checking out magazines, TV, social media, big time. A lot of it is just ingrained in what we value in North America. Fat phobia and so forth. More and more males are also coming forward with body and food issues. It's more so trimming the percentage body fat down to the lowest number possible and upping the strength. That's kind of what it looks like for them often. But yeah, so anyway, we will talk about specifically in pregnancy and also just us as parents or parents to be and how we have a huge role in setting our kids up for the next generation to have success in this area. So some of you may have never even thought of how your body is changing, like in some ways it doesn't bother you at all. And this is a completely foreign topic. It's not something that you've ever questioned or struggled with, and that is totally okay. Thank you for tuning in. I encourage you to continue tuning in and listen, as you never know when your child, male or female there, or a friend or coworker might come to you looking for support with any of these things. So they're good ideas to just kind of have on the radar. All right, so today I am hoping to talk about the definition of body image. What is it? How do we properly fuel our body? Why is our body changing? What happens during pregnancy? How can I improve my relationship with my body? Self-care we'll talk about, which includes, optimizing energy, specifically around the area of movement and exercise, and then some specific things that we can do as parents, especially moms, to set our kids up for decreased risk of any issues around body and food. So yeah, I will talk for 30 to 40 minutes or so and go from there. Okay, so How do you see yourself? I'm sure it varies day to day there, but up to 85% of women worry about their body during pregnancy, and many do not talk about it. And this can affect us all, regardless of our size, shape, age, histories. So today we want to normalize these concerns. We also want to, if there are any partners listening in there, understand how they can be supporting us and what their role is. So, body image is the mental picture we have about our bodies and the thoughts and feelings associated. So, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see someone that's blank, but negative qualities there, or do you look in the mirror and see a story of growing life and giving life, maybe a warm hug, someone that's hardworking, strong? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Right? Yeah, they can be all sorts of different things there. So healthy body image also means that you feel at home in your body. So you know how to take care of yourself, you know what you need. It's more than just having the perfect size or shape of body. It's finding more meaningful and lasting ways to feel good about yourself and like yourself. The inside and outside are very attached with that. So we are going to use this acronym here to kind of form the foundation of the different factors involved. So we've got, hold on a second here. Oh yeah. So we call this the nurse model. And just like nursing or breastfeeding in that context there, provides nutrients, attachment, attention, relaxation, touch, etc. We want you to receive these things as well. So it's a process. It's certainly not something that you decide and then it changes. You kind of need to, repeat it to yourself, practice it over and over. So yeah, we've got nourishment, understanding, rest and relaxation, self, and energy. So we'll go through each of these things and what they mean. So we will start with nourishment. So true or false? You need to eat for two now that you're pregnant. I'm sure you guys have heard of that one. So nope, false. Often it only takes 200 or 300 extra calories in the second and third trimester to gain that 1 to 2 pounds a week, 1 pound a week or so, I guess. That depends on different things. But anyways, to gain the appropriate amount of weight, that's kind of the average. So these are some, I posted a snack list here. It's kind of that idea, just a simple extra serving or two of, an extra piece of fruit and cheese, or I don't know, trail mix or so forth. So nothing too crazy. Slow and steady is often best with weight gain, and it can often help, if you're a healthy weight, to feel good and energized and positive about yourself. So yeah. Dieting is safe during pregnancy, true or false? Yeah, definitely not. So, hold on, there we go. So dieting during pregnancy can put you and your baby at risk for not getting enough nutrients to grow that baby properly. So this chart here is something that I often review with my adult clients when they are they're done with the yo-yo dieting and extreme thinking, and they want something that's sustainable. So sometimes it can be helpful to just recognize what role dieting can have on a person's life. So this chart breaks it down nicely into, 4 different categories there. I find the most common side effects of restricting and dieting and cutting out major types of foods and so forth. Often people are, I said earlier, kind of yo-yoing in their weight, so up and down, often gaining more after they've restricted or dieted for a period of time. Binging, so anytime we restrict ourselves, physiologically, our body automatically increases cravings and hunger later on. So it's very common to overeat and binge later if we are restricting ourselves. Hangriness, we become disconnected from our true hunger and fullness cues. So we start to lose touch with, am I hungry? Like, am I truly hungry? Because we've probably shoved them down repeatedly for it could be years. We can't really tell when we're truly full. We feel like we need external rules to tell us how much is a good amount. Fatigue, physically and mentally. Dieting is exhausting, and it takes up a lot of mental space. Isolation, because sometimes you can't be joining your family for what they're eating or go out with friends as easily, and so forth. And I think the biggest thing that motivates me to be learning more about this and just helping people is just the shame attached with not being able to sustainably be where you want to be. So today I hope to give you some tools. I say the antidote to dieting is mindful eating and intuitive eating. So I've included a bunch of different ideas here. So what I love to do with clients is kind of talk through what's your ideal plan for the day. So it does take a little bit of intention and thought. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So coming up with something like this. So I often first ask people, when's the first time that you typically get hungry during the day? Are you a breakfast eater? When do you feel like having something? For some people, it's lunchtime. Some people it's mid-morning, breakfast, but I usually encourage people to have something within a few hours of waking up. Often if we can get some protein in first thing in the morning and regularly throughout the day, that's associated with better muscle mass, and muscle tends to fuel our metabolism. So it helps our bodies stay at that best weight and be gaining a reasonable amount of weight. So often having a little something in the morning, even if it's just a simple, Greek yogurt cup or piece of fruit, anything is going to be better than nothing. Oftentimes too, if people have enough food early and throughout the day, they're less likely to overeat and be tempted to eat the whole bag of chips while you're watching TV at night. Often we're just a little bit more satisfied and comfortably full. Again, we're not restricting ourselves or fasting, doing the intermittent fasting for too long in the morning. And usually that sets us up for just feeling content around that 4 p.m. time when we get hangry. At supper time, we have a better portion, and at nighttime too. So just something to think about. Everyone's different. So some people, they can just eat lunch and dinner and have a reasonable snack at night. But I would say most of the people that I talk with would benefit from kind of just planning out regular 3 meals a day. So yeah, a couple examples here. So if I look at breakfast, kind of aiming for some kind of color. So some fruit, usually sometimes veggies if you're doing an omelet or smoothie or something. Usually some kind of grain, whole grain. Some protein is very important. If we look at lunch, so this is kind of referring to the balanced plate that's present in the newer food guide there. So half your plate, up to half your plate, I'd say, which is usually a pretty big stretch for most of us, but some kind of color. So again, veggies or fruit, quarter grain, quarter protein. An afternoon snack is something that I highly recommend. Again, it usually sets you up for a better supper time experience, and just after work or kind of before supper time there. So ideally some protein or healthy fat with some fruits or vegetables, some healthy carbs, carbs that are found in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, milk, yogurt, legumes like hummus made from chickpeas, etc. Those guys all give you energy, those carbohydrates. The protein tends to sit in your belly like a rock and keep you feeling full longer. Yeah, and then dinner time, kind of similar to lunch there. I often also really like the idea of working towards a master meal list, I call it. So it is working towards pinpointing, and do this for yourself first. If you have any kids already, or if you're, if you have a partner at home and parents maybe that you're taking care of, you can slowly be adding them in. But I find most of the time we're still kind of eating what we want to be eating at a few meals of the day. So start there. And ask yourself, what do I like to eat for breakfast? What are 1 to 3 go-to breakfast ideas that work well and that I can resort to when I'm like, I forget what I like to eat? For dinner time, you might want to eventually work towards 10 or 15, especially if you're feeding a family and there's lots of different preferences involved. Having that reference list of meals that work can be a real game changer when it comes to meal planning. So you don't need external rules or a program or diet to kind of tell you what to be eating. It's best if you can start thinking about, what do I like eating? What feels good? What's healthy for me? And I would love to help brainstorm ideas on this if any of you are interested as well. Okay, so here's our good old food guide. So I've alluded to kind of the balance of things. Um, Generally speaking, portion wise, like vegetables, kind of like, a good handful. Really, you can't go wrong with vegetables usually. Protein rich foods. So you've probably heard like the portion size, the palm of your hand, a deck of cards, usually 1 to 2 of those is reasonable for most of us at a meal. And then grains, usually like, a fistful is usually around half a cup to a cup. 1 or 2 of those is usually reasonable. Rice or pasta cooked. Yeah, and then this graph here on the right hand side is a representation of the glycemic index. So the glycemic index is a scale of 0 to 100, and it rates foods based on how quickly they get digested into sugar. So something like glucose. Hold on, I'm just going to admit Olga. Hi, Olga. Hi, Olga. I'm just recording, so I'm just going to continue on here. She can hear me. So yeah, things like white sugar would get broken down very quickly and spike your blood sugar. Something like steak, which is not sweet at all, would get digested very slowly and create a very gentle wave of blood sugar instead of that spike. So that can be very helpful. If we have too many spikes and crashes in our day, and if we're just living off of white processed carbs and sweets, we can notice our energy levels kind of go up and down. Our mood can be on a roller coaster, and just our hunger and fullness too. If we're, yeah, I won't go into too much detail here science-wise, but we tend to crave more sweets if we're on this roller coaster, and we tend to get hungrier more throughout the day. So you want to try and choose foods that are less sweet, more whole grain over the processed white carbs, healthy fats, high protein, high fiber foods like your fruits and veggies and all that good stuff. A lot of the foods that we're talking about today have that lower glycemic index response there. So here's a few examples of high protein foods. So I've said earlier there, protein tends to fuel our muscles, which fuel our metabolism, so help with that healthy weight gain. Protein also sits in our belly like a rock and takes a while to digest. So it's really great it's why keto is so popular right now, because you don't feel as hungry as if you're living off of carbs. But I don't necessarily recommend keto always. I just recommend getting plenty of protein and veggies and that, so you're comfortably full and you kind of get the benefits of keto without having to do the extremeness of keto. So yeah, you can see roughly someone would need the number of grams of protein a day as you weigh in kilograms. So say someone weighs 200 pounds, divide that by 2.2. I'm just going to do by 2 for ease. You get 100 kilograms is how much they weigh. You would need roughly 100 grams of protein a day. So you can see it adds up pretty quick. Like a typical burger, chicken breast has, 20 to 30. Dairy is a great source. A lot of these foods are also high in iron, which is important for the developing baby and blood supply there. Protein, obviously, as well, is important for baby. Calcium and vitamin D, a lot of those foods are high protein as well. Omega-3s, so we've got our fish on there. And chia seeds, I don't know if those are on there, but chia and hemp have some. Flax, they often have a little bit of omega-3s, eggs if they're enriched, and so forth. So that's a little bit about protein. Okay, so let me just move myself over here. Okay, so intuitive eating and mindful eating. I have a really good book. I'm going to show it to you at the end though. So I am big on the 80-20 rule applying to nutrition. So 80% of the time we want to try and choose foods that help our body, that are quote unquote healthy, but 20% of the time totally give yourself permission to have the other stuff, the foods that are higher in sugar, fat, salt, etc. Those foods are often a part. We went camping this last weekend and I thought, if I wasn't relaxed about my kids having s'mores around the campfire with hot dogs and whatever, we packed lots of healthy food too. But those things are such a big part of memory building, right? And I want my kids to enjoy those without thinking about how much sugar is in them. Thinking about like riding our bikes to get ice cream or baking a cake together, etc. So sometimes food can just, it's not necessarily nutritious, but food plays such a bigger role than just nutrition in life. It's such a big part of memory building and relationship building, relaxing, comforting. To a degree, all of those things are absolutely fine. You just want to do it in a way that's obviously helping you, setting you up for success, and allowing you to still reach your goals. So it can totally fit. I said down there that all foods can fit. Yeah, there's no foods that you should never eat. It's just about how often are you having them and how much are you having of them. The all or nothing thinking and those extreme diets, you know, you can never have carbohydrates and you can never have this and that. Don't do it. It's exhausting, and it's not shown to be any more effective than just eating mindfully and being aware and planning good food. And that's the way to do it if it's going to be sustainable. Fad diets have a 2.5% success rate, any kind of diet that you put yourself on. So I don't know how they sell so well if people knew that that was the effectiveness rate there, but it certainly gets you thinking. So, I mean, they work in the short term, and we often want that short results, right? Or quick effect. And it's hard work being patient, but doing it properly. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Okay, so hunger and fullness cues. Our kids typically are very in tune with when they feel hungry and when they feel full, and they don't really think about it. They know. Babies as well. But as we get older, a lot of this diet culture kind of messes with our innate, oh, I'm hungry, I should eat now and stop what I'm doing and eat. And oh, I'm starting to feel full. Sometimes we look for external, you know, you can only have one portion of this and that. And so it takes some practice to get in tune with our hunger and fullness cues sometimes. So this chart can, and there's different versions of this hunger scale, but you know, starving. So like you're hangry, you're lightheaded, you can't concentrate, you're just angry. You know, have a snack, definitely. Hungry, so food is on your mind and you should eat soon. But you know, carrying snacks can help too, just so you don't get to the starving point. I often say, you know, and as moms or mums to be, we're usually pretty good at carrying snacks around for ourselves too, I think is important to note though. Slightly hungry, so like this is the time to eat. Satisfied, so kind of stopping when you're comfortably full or when you're no longer hungry. That can be a good way. Yeah, full, so your stomach's kind of bloated, you're no longer eating because of hunger, it just tastes really good, or sometimes you're thirsty too, and stuffed. I'm sure we've all had that at certain times too. You got to lie down to space out the the food. So different types of hunger here. So we have stomach hunger. That's the first type. I'll pause there for a second. That's what we're talking about here. So stomach hunger is what we experience most of the time when we eat. And the appropriate thing to do is to have a snack, prevent yourself from getting too hungry. Mouth hunger is more craving the specific taste of something. So you know you're not hungry. It could be after supper and you're craving something sweet. So you know that you're not physically hungry, but you're just not satisfied. You're craving something sweet, salty, crunchy, cold. There's a million textures and flavors out there. Sometimes you're thirsty. I know I've stood in my pantry and tried a bite of just about everything. And I'm like, what is it that I'm craving? I'm full. So then I give up and go do something else for a bit. And I come back and have a glass of water, and then oh yeah, I'm really thirsty. So sometimes just having a drink, making sure that you're well hydrated, can eliminate any of those excessive mouth hunger cravings. And then heart hunger. So this is a big one. You know, you're bored or you're awesomely excited because you're done a week of work or you've survived teething, or I don't know, whatever it is, but we're celebrating, we're with someone fun and we want to just do something fun. So we want to get ice cream, or we're watching a show and we eat popcorn. All of those kinds of things constitute heart hunger. So with heart hunger, Eating can sometimes be a great thing to do, all good. Mouth hunger too, totally okay to have a bowl of chips if that's what you're craving. It's kind of important actually to do that regularly and enjoy your food. Not necessarily eat chips regularly, but if you're craving chips, listen to your cravings and have your favorite foods regularly. That's okay and normal. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, so, okay, I'm gonna pause there and yeah, bring up this definition. So this is interesting. You might agree with these, you might question some of them, but this is the definition from Ellen Satter. So she's a feeding kids expert and just relationship with food expert. She's got a great website if anyone's interested. So what is normal eating? Normal eating is going to the table hungry and eating till you're satisfied. It's being able to choose food you like and eat it, first of all, and truly get enough of it. Not just stop eating because you think you should. Normal eating is being able to give some thought to your food selection. So you get nutritious food, most of the time, but not be so weary and restricted that you miss out on enjoyable food. Normal eating is giving yourself permission to eat, sometimes because you're happy, sad, or bored, or just because it feels good. Normal eating is mostly eating 3 meals a day, or 4 or 5, or it can be choosing to munch along the way. It's leaving some cookies on the plate because you can have some again tomorrow, or it's eating more now because they just taste so wonderful. Normal eating is overeating at times, feeling stuffed and uncomfortable. That's normal. Hopefully it doesn't happen all the time because that would be uncomfortable, but and it can be under eating at times and wishing that you had more. Normal eating is trusting your body to make up for your mistakes in eating. Normal eating takes up some of your time and attention, but keeps its place as only one important area of your life. So in short, normal eating is flexible. It varies in response to your hunger, your schedule, your proximity to food, and your feelings. So yeah, I like the word flexible. I think that's very true. Okay, so we will move away from the food side of things here and talk about kind of understanding what is going on when our body is changing during pregnancy here. So yeah, steady weight gain is good. You're gaining healthy weight, healthy baby and healthy, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but anyways, tells you that your baby's growing, your uterus and placenta are growing, your breasts are growing, getting ready for breastfeeding, you're making more blood to carry food and air to your baby. So generally speaking, pregnant women should gain 20 to 35 pounds, but that varies. So your doctor is the best one to consult. You may have seen this diagram before, so I'm going to go by pounds. I hope, yeah. But almost 9 pounds is muscle and fat, just increasing the stores of energy essentially. Your breasts increase, the baby obviously, amniotic fluid, blood and extra fluid, uterus, and the placenta. So yeah, lots of different things growing, and it's interesting. It's not just all fat. Yeah, so. Okay, so if you are having a hard time kind of accepting the weight gain, and I'm just gonna extend this to maybe your daughter maybe she's going through puberty and not too sure what's happening to her body. Maybe you've had this in other non-pregnant times of your life. These are some good questions to ask when someone's feeling fat. You may have heard of that. So ask yourself with kindness. Hold on, I'm going to pause. I need to catch up with my notes here. I'm just rambling. Okay, so yeah, what do I need? What's going on? Sometimes it's our clothing. So if we have clothing that's constantly digging into our stomach and super tight and uncomfortable and reminding us or telling us that we're not the right size, that can be a very good thing to consider changing and looking for some clothes that make you feel good. It's not your body that's too big, it's the clothes that are too small. So mirrors, if you have mirrors all over your house and you're constantly looking at yourself, sometimes, either change and have a different mantra, like sticking stickies on those mirrors or whatever. But sometimes just moving those mirrors so you're not constantly, analyzing can be helpful, or just, again, try and change the mantra that's going on in your head and appreciate how beautiful you are, and the kind of miraculous and beautiful, amazing changes that are happening with pregnancy. But mirrors are something to think about. Positive friends. So yeah, our circle of friends, I know we're not seeing many people these days, but still, our friends and family have a huge impact on what we've learned from childhood and what we're currently focusing on. So yeah, heartburn, discomfort. Maybe you're just uncomfortable. Maybe you have a lot of heartburn right now and it's making you feel really just, ugh. Feelings. Sometimes certain feelings are associated with this poor body image. And I'd encourage you to journal and see if you can find some associations with certain feelings. If you're lonely, for example, sometimes you turn to, well, it must be my body that's wrong, so I'm going to try and, control that. And a lot of changes happen this year. Sometimes really diving into a new program and following all the rules can really be kind of like a almost way to feel like we're in control. But sometimes the food and program, sometimes takes control of us too. And so anyway, places. So sometimes just being in certain situations like the beach or whatever accentuate how you're feeling. The weather, bowels, right? And just being bloated or full feeling and constipated, so forth. So instead of beating ourselves up, come and talk to me if you're interested. I've certainly, like I was saying earlier, struggled with body image stuff in relationship with food. And I've been working on this for years and have been learning a lot. And I would love to just hash out kind of next steps and what to do if you are feeling any of these associations there and understand them better. But also just, I challenge you to just do something, go for a walk. What do you need? Maybe put some effort into some healthier foods. Call a friend, etc. So we'll talk a bit more about that as well. Okay. Oh, another quote that, I don't know, just kind of stuck with me was, us as women, and there's nothing wrong with it too. I think it's kind of fun to play around and spend time, dressing up and just looking nice and whatever. I think that is what make women beautiful. And it's kind of a fun thing. But when it becomes obsessive and, it's just crossed that line. I think about how many of us are kind of a slave to, becoming thinner or whatever it is, and what we could be doing with all that time that we spend on MyFitnessPal and so forth at the gym and whatever. Think about the time that we could invest in our kids and just the world. And as women, if we have that healthy balance, I think we could really make a positive difference with all the gifts that we have. I think women have so much to offer too. And I fear that some of these diet ideals are stealing some of that. But anyway, okay, rest and relaxation. So ways to nurture yourself. So yeah, I think a few that I know I've talked to clients about too is going for a walk or just having a good cry or expressing your frustrations and sadness, just kind of acknowledging how you're feeling, reading a book, praying, watching a funny movie, etc. So these are super cheesy on the screen here, but I think they're worth acknowledging. I know Ruth's done sessions on self-care, and so I'll leave this pretty brief here, but I've been learning about this too, because I'm not very good at looking inside and realizing what fuels me, like what actually, it's not always a manicure or pedicure. Sometimes it's having a day to myself just to get the house organized or to plan what's going on in my head. And, anyway, it's a good conversation. Okay, so kind of on that note there, taking time to refresh your mind, spirit, and body. We have different parts of ourselves that we need to take care of. Letting people help you, surrounding yourself with positive people, and adjusting your expectations, kind of thinking of that support network or village if you're able to there. And we at the Standby Family Resource Center would love to be a part of that. Filling your social media account with accounts that make you feel good. I liked that way of looking at it. Self-compassion. A few words that you might see kind of hashtagged online around this stuff is body neutrality. So there's a lot of pressure to love your body. And and fully, embrace it and promote it and whatever. But sometimes just taking the step to body neutrality, where you don't absolutely loathe your body, is a really good place to be too, or to strive for. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but you don't always have to love. Bodies aren't always reliable, and they get sick, and they're sometimes, unhealthy, they get hurt and so forth. And I think if we can look deeper and our physical body, at least respect it and be kind to it, try and work together with it. But yeah, anyways, I don't know if any of this is making sense to you, but okay, mindful eating, yes, over diet culture, and so forth. You're created with love and are loved. So, trying to share that with others can go a long way too. Okay, energy. So movement. Actually, I'm just going to back up and talk about a few things here. So movement increases good hormones, as you know. Combats is one of the best ways to combat poor body image. Helps you stay regular. It's fun. It's challenging. It can help with sleep. It's a great way to decompress. Feels good to move. It can help get rid of pent-up emotions, energizes. I once heard, if all the benefits of exercise could be encapsulated in a pill form, someone would be very wealthy. So it's not only for weight loss, there's lots of benefits. And I feel like, just to kind of summarize our talk today, we talked about diet and self-care, exercise. When you're taking care of all these things, when you're getting enough sleep as much as you can, and just doing your best to give attention, your body will settle at its best weight. Focusing on the weight is an outcome. So we need to focus on the behaviors and the things going on every day. And when we can optimize those, kind of like focus on the good behavior, and your body will settle at its best weight, is a thought. Okay, so just a few thoughts on the scale, and I just want to check the time here. Okay, so the scale can be a great tool. If you do enjoy the accountability of it and so forth, great, no problem using it. If you do find that it's affecting your emotions throughout the day, or if it's just kind of, I don't know, instilling, what am I trying to say? Okay, I'm just going to read my notes just a second. So the scale, this is an interesting, it measures your relationship with gravity. And that's kind of it, really. Yet we take so much from it. And I often think it can really steal the joy from when you are making changes and really feeling good. And then you step on the scale and you're like, oh, I gained 2 pounds. And you get really discouraged and you feel like giving up on the behaviors. It can very quickly become kind of a mind game and mess with your emotions. So it does not always reflect true progress either. And progress on maybe different goals that you've been setting for yourself. And also weight fluctuates based on exercise. So if you're starting to exercise more, your body tends to store extra carbohydrates in the form of glycogen, and glycogen has water attached to it. So oftentimes you see the number on the scale increasing when your body's just ramping up its fuel sources so it can give you more energy when you are moving your body more. Same with muscle, right? It weighs more than fat. Bowels, so if you are not regular, that can really affect things. Fiber intake, so fiber-rich foods. Fiber goes into your stomach and it absorbs water and puffs up like a sponge, and it helps your bowel movements be puffy, but they weigh more because there's more water in there. So a good thing, right? If you're eating more fiber, that can cause you to kind of see an increase in the scale. Electrolytes, kidney function, so like salt intake, for example, time of the day, weather, hydration status, etc. So there's lots of things that can influence that scale. And so I often encourage people, if you like the scale, do it, but consider focusing on the non-scale victories, so NSVs, like how many glasses of water did I drink today? How is my mood out of 10? Rank yourself. How is my energy levels? How have I been sleeping lately? How are my thoughts? Like, how is my mental health doing lately? And maybe consider, if you are struggling with the weight gain during pregnancy, thinking of it as you're gaining healthy body and healthy self, really, that this is a very healthy thing going on, and trying to shift your mindset there. Having a journal can be a great tool. This is an example of a bullet journal. So you have all your different markers there, and you can track your progress. If anyone likes to buy pretty journals and pens and stuff, that can be fun. Just do it, like Google it on Pinterest, search for it on Pinterest, and there's a million. There's lots of habit tracking apps and stuff too. So, okay, last slide here, and bear with me because I have a few notes to talk about. But so how do we set our kids up for success? If eating disorder rates are skyrocketing in teens, and I think it said 11 to 19-year-olds, those numbers have doubled during the pandemic of calls that have been made to the NEDIC, the National Eating Disorder Information Center. So how do we set up our kids for success? I know this might be years away for some of you, but hey, it takes years for you to shift your mindset sometimes too. Has for me at least. So, okay. Speaking positively, or just not even at all, about others' bodies and your own, that's a big one. Don't talk about diets or calories or good food, bad food. Call foods by their name, and emphasize the positive aspects of eating healthy rather than focusing on the effects of unhealthy eating. So I really liked that one. So instead of saying, hey, you've had enough junk food, being like, hey, you've had enough of those Doritos. Why don't we take a break and have some bananas or whatever? Yeah. Because so often we moralize food, right? We feel good or bad, and we feel like we're a good person or a bad person depending on what we eat. And so trying to just be neutral around food. As parents, we decide what is available at home. So we do the grocery shopping. If you feel your kid's eating too much junk, if I use that word, buy other food if you can. If you need some ideas on how to do that affordably and just, quickly and with less prep and so forth, let me know. But we decide the environment, and we decide what options our kids have, and they can decide from that what to eat. So yeah. Okay, hold on. Oh, I have a great book. I meant to bring it in. It's a Disney book on all the different princesses. And initially I thought, oh, great, here we go, just talking about like how the princesses are so pretty and they don't do anything all day and whatever, right? But I love this book because it's like, hey, meet Belle. She loves to read. This is her amazing library. And it's like, meet Snow White. She loves to sing and dance in the forest and twirl in her fancy dress, but she loves, just dancing around and singing. And then it goes through all the princesses, and it just focuses on hold on, like their character, skills, and personality and so forth, right? Rather than always commenting on looks. So I've been trying to keep that in mind with my two girls too. I compliment them, way too. Oh, you look so cute. Oh, I love that dress on you, and so forth. But I've been trying to make sure that I also throw in some, hey, you've worked really hard at that. Hey, like, good job. Hey, I like how you didn't give up. That was hard to do. I like how you're determined. Or, hey, you're goofy. Like, you are a goof. Like that Natalie, she makes me laugh. And thinking about those things too. So anyway, media literacy. So talking to our kids and asking them about social media, and oftentimes the image, is varied quite drastically, and there's a lot of time put into some of those. I think, yeah. Anyway, I've read that the filtering right now is catering to slimming you down online, and you can do that on, is it TikTok or something? I don't know, but yuck, no, thank you. Ask them what makes a good friend. So, I want to be known for the things that I think about and that I question, or how I handle challenges, or my passions and hobbies, what I love in life, or how I show up for people, how I express myself, and how creative and fun I can be with that, or how I care about people. I want to be always learning and able to laugh and to be goofy with my kids, and I think those are the things that we want to teach our kids to strive for and to acknowledge. If you ever find your kid's gaining weight and you want to put them on a diet. I know that sounds bizarre, but I get lots of referrals for that. The parents are concerned that their child is gaining weight too quickly. My suggestion is to actually not even mention it to them, but to work on your own habits and just what you're bringing into the house and the routines that you have as a family. That can be the best way to set our kids up for a healthy weight, and so that they feel good and so forth. But yeah, often it's a family-wide thing that gets the best results with a good healthy weight. Yeah, and try not to use food all the time as a reward or punishment. Sometimes is okay, but most of the time kids should eat because they're actually hungry and not just because they've behaved or whatever there. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop there because I've been rambling a lot, but I do have a few books that I'd like to suggest if any of these topics are of interest. So this is Intuitive Eating. So this is kind of the antidote. Is that the right word? Anyway, I'm having a brain moment here, but to dieting. So this is kind of combating dieting. This is a great way to, challenge any food rules that you have and learn how to eat that. Your Dieting Daughter is a really good one. If you have any older kids or maybe brothers or sisters with older kids or friends or whatever, that's a good one. This was kind of random, but I find a lot of food issues also intertwine with just kind of mental health and how you see yourself. And this is the Enneagram. Andrea here, she talked to me about it, and I found it super interesting to kind of learn about yourself, and it gave me like words to put to some of the behaviors that and just how I see the world. And I'm like, interesting. So there's lots of those kinds of books, but this is one that shares, if you do find that disordered eating is establishing some roots there, this is a really cool book. It's a lady that shared 100 of her top experiences as she went through eating disorder recovery, and just lots of really cool kind of self-care and ideas around this whole topic. And then the last one, this just looks at fat phobia and how as a society we've really prioritized the thin ideal, and that thin isn't everything. I think it's more important to be happy and truly healthy, not just thin. So this book really dives into a lot of those kind of thoughts, and helps you to see all sizes as just in a different way. It's good. So, okay. I really wish I was in person and could like sit down with coffee with all of you and just like talk about all these things, because this is my first time doing a presentation about it actually. And so it's been interesting putting all these ideas together, and curious to know if any of you can relate to these things. We don't talk about them much, so I feel like I'm kind of throwing them out there and seeing. But anyway, thank you for listening. I'm going to stop recording here. Okay, I'll say goodbye.